it's going to open up Pandora's box. But I will say this. I do believe players that sign now, like Najee, should not be eligible now, but should have to sit out and come back in next year. It's just a slippery slope. And I agree with people like Tom Izzo. I don't like it at all.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Sometimes those coaches do get the axe regardless of what the owner said just a few short weeks ago. And sometimes, Joe, you can't have it both ways. Like a Jets fan, you probably want them to tank. They're doing a really good job of that by not even being competitive at this point. But at the same time, you sort of want it to be, yeah, we're not competitive winning games, but it looks like we have a future. We might have found our quarterback. We got a good foundation. Nothing is going right.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
I mean, they couldn't get the Arizona State coach to come out. They couldn't get the BYU coach to leave their job. I mean, it's just very odd, I feel, when we watch this whole thing play out and try and really understand what happened here with Michigan not being able to make some of the splashier hires that they thought they were going to be able to make.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Crosby has now left the team, by the way. He's pissed. Anyway, you look at it, he's angry. He wants to play. He doesn't like what they're doing here. It's all sort of speculation.
This might be the final straw, George, for him there. Like, I don't know why he stays. Yeah, I know. The thing is, he's got a Raider freaking tattoo. Like, the guy loves the Raiders. Like, he really does love playing for the Raiders. But and now, like you said, he's not happy about this.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Are you ready for some football, or at least to play armchair quarterback? My goodness, what a weekend it was in the NFL. And now, this week sets up the table for unbelievable playoff action in college football and also in the professional ranks. We got you for 2 hours. I'm Donnie Rightside. He's Joe Ranieri. This is the SportsGrid Network, and this is the Early Line. I have so many hot topics I want to get to, Joe. The only bet I lost yesterday, which we'll get to, was Drake May throwing 2 touchdown passes. And the fact that we have an NFL coach that sold his MVP candidate down the river as a major favorite to now a major underdog and much more. We're going to talk rest versus rust. Should the Eagles have played their starters? Should the Packers have played their starters? What's going to happen this weekend? We got you covered on every single thing, Joe. I can't wait to get going, so let's do it.
And let's not forget the U is back, and we get to see that front and center this week, too. Yeah, I know, Donnie, and yep. Out of that here in South Florida this week. So this week can't happen quick enough for me, my man.
It cannot happen quick enough, which means we're rested, we're ready to go on a monster weekend, not a holiday week here. So get your coffee. Let's get caffeinated. Here's Joe with the hottest topic of the day.
Well, Donnie, armchair quarterback. I'm going to play it here because I'm looking at this NFL playoff bracket and I am scratching my head here because we have just spent 18 weeks grinding through the season, and somehow the NFL has decided that mediocrity deserves a reward. And let's start in the NFC South, right? Because you have the Carolina Panthers hosting a playoff game. They have 8 wins. 8. They lost Saturday to the Tampa Bay Bucks and needed the damn Falcons to save their season and get them into the postseason. And yet, somehow, did they not only win a division of dumpster fires, but they're also getting a home game. Meanwhile, we have 2 12-win teams in the NFC who have to pack their bags and go on the road and head east. It's the same nonsense in the AFC. Now, the Steelers won last night. Congratulations. And they won 10 games. Congrats. Nice season. But do they deserve to host a playoff game over a 12-win juggernaut that just happened to finish second in a brutal division? Absolutely not. And look at the travel nightmare we've created. You've got those 2 West Coast teams, 12 wins apiece this year, flying east this week to play teams they have a better record than. Make it make sense. But the biggest crime might be the Chicago Bears yesterday. Not only couldn't they clinch the number 2 seed on their own yesterday because they lost to Detroit, but they got saved and bailed out because the Eagles couldn't beat a JV Washington team with all their backups. And they still get the number 2 seed. Meanwhile, the 49ers, well, they have one more win than Chicago, and they literally beat Chicago in week 17. And yet, the Niners are on the road and the Bears are at home. Why? Because of an outdated rule that says, well, winning your division is the holy grail. Rewarding an 8-win division winner with a home playoff game is like giving the corner office to the guy who won the office fantasy pool instead of the guy who actually closed the accounts all year. Stop it. In a league designed for parity, and that's where they're heading, winning a mediocre division shouldn't give you the keys to the castle. It should get you a ticket to the dance, sure, but it shouldn't let you cut the line in front of 12-win teams who have been doing it all year. The Lions proposed a fix for this, Donnie, last year. The league ignored it. Well, all right, Roger Goodell, ball's back in your court, because I can assure you the fans of the 12-win road teams this week certainly aren't happy. Reseed the damn playoffs and stop rewarding 8-win teams, Donnie.
By the way, it looks like the Rams are going to get an easy victory in round number 1 of the playoffs, according to the odds makers, 10.5-point favorites. But didn't they just play in Carolina and take a loss there? Oh, wild card weekend, Joe. You're right about this, though. It is kind of interesting. The only caveat for me is if we do blow up the system where you give the higher, the better ranked teams, should I say the better record teams, those home playoff games, that you do blow up the divisions where they technically don't matter. I don't think the NFL wants to give that up. But again, we're going to see teams that don't deserve to be there in college football and also in professional football still be in the playoffs. But you know what's going to happen still, Joe? We're all going to watch anyway, and that's what the NFL will tell you. If it ain't broken, don't fix it from our end, because the ratings are as high as ever. Let's get to the hottest topics across the sports landscape, Joe, which includes the Pittsburgh Steelers. Somehow, some way, with no offense, let their aging quarterback throw 47 times and came away with a victory. Let's understand this. Lamar Jackson averaged 13.2 yards per pass attempt. They also had a running back average 6.3 yards per rush. They also had their top wide receiver average 34.5 yards per catch and still lost that game. Unbelievable. Sunday Night Football is the Pittsburgh Steelers moving on to the playoffs.
Said it 1,000 times on this show. Kicking is for losers. And, well, the kicking game ended up costing the Baltimore Ravens last night. But you know what? Kudos to Aaron Rodgers. It's been a rough last couple of years because he, tried to wash the stink off the Jets on him. But it looks like he finally did get a little redemption last night. And that was the reason why the Jets signed Aaron Rodgers last night. And it's certainly the reason why the Steelers signed him this year.
I fell asleep around halftime, woke up in that fourth quarter. It was crazy. And I couldn't be the only one thinking, Joe, laying in my bed watching the final kneel down going, you could have handed that ball to Derrick Henry, got 2 or 3 yards closer, made this easier. Instead, you took a knee there and kicked the field goal for a 44-yarder in a frigid cold temperature. And with the biggest kick of this kid's life, I ain't surprised he missed it off to the right at that point. But the Steelers are moving on, Joe. The Carolina Panthers, as you said, they're in. And you want to talk about, you never drive in reverse now, at least we have cameras. Like, they drove like this, like, oh, we are backing into this playoff spot right now. Unbelievable. I mean, come on, Panthers are in. Why? Why, Joe?
First of all, why are Panther fans showing up at the Falcons game celebrating like they won a Super Bowl? I would be as incognito as humanly possible and that just walk out of the bill. Don't celebrate. Don't do anything. The fact that you couldn't do it on your own and the fact that you actually needed the Falcons to help you, unbelievable, Donnie. I just don't get it, man.
Congratulations to Myles Garrett, the new sack leader in the NFL. This game didn't mean anything unless we were just watching Myles Garrett trying to get a sack, and he eventually got it, which was fantastic. They carry him off the field. They stopped the game. And you're telling me the Bengals were upset in a meaningless football game that a guy just broke one of the all-time records, got a couple minutes to savor that? You got to be – what a loser organization the Bengals are. And by the way, they lost the football game too.
What was with the Rudy treatment, too? Did you see that? Like, who's throwing Myles Garrett up on their shoulders?
Yeah, like, even get him up there.
Why? How, exactly. Who's carrying that dude? Like, unbelievable. But good job. And it wasn't a cheesy sack either. He totally beat the tackle and got to Burrow, and kudos to him for getting it done. I wish he would have got it done last week, but he got it done this week.
You know who else is getting sacked here in the offseason? Justin Fields probably going to be done with those New York Jets.
Oh, please. Yeah, I don't know what took so long, Donnie. Should have been done after they benched him for Tyrod Taylor. That should have been it for him. But, bye-bye. He won't be missed. Trust me.
1 year, $30 million. Who was the real winner in this? It was Justin Fields. People don't give, I can't believe that he gave. No, he got a chance. He got $30 million. He won that. The Buffalo Bills say goodbye to the Ralph. Good things have to end because you're going to go now from that stadium, which is basically a college atmosphere with a great home field advantage, to the corporate world, Joe Ranieri. Welcome to the new stage, Buffalo Bills. Caviar and champagne, no longer Pabst.
Yeah, well, listen, how many world championships did the Ralph get you?
That's
the
true.
answer is 0.
Right.
So it's time to move on, and maybe this new place will bring them a Super Bowl championship.
Look at this guy. Doesn't like the union out here. Novak Djokovic founded a union, quit the union. What's up with that?
Doesn't like the way they're handling his name and likeness and those types of things here. So, yeah, it's unfortunate for him, to say the least.
How about the Raiders? They can't mess this up. They're the #1 overall pick in the NFL and hopefully looking to draft their quarterback of the future here.
Well, but by the time they played that game, the funny thing was the Giants had already won, so they were locked into the one. It didn't make a difference. And kudos to the New York Jets for somehow sliding up to the #2 spot there. So Raiders, Jets, first and second.
Tells you exactly what tanking is. The Raiders get beat by 50 basically by the Giants. Then when it didn't matter, they ended up beating the Chiefs there. Hilarious. We'll be right back on a Monday.
Like Alabama, right? Is there a team that scores more than Alabama? No, right? But they're actually an under team over the last couple of years because their numbers are so high. You get these Americans in Queens College or Denver. Who the hell's betting on them, right? No, but so the lines stay low. They're just like, no one's hopping all over them. But every time you see an Alabama game, you're betting over, but you're losing money because the numbers are so big.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
He's out again. Anthony Davis is injured once again and is going to miss time with the Dallas Mavericks for a minor groin strain. Likely will miss a few games. And I don't even know what a few games is to Anthony Davis because Anthony Davis seems to always be missing time.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
I mean, they couldn't get the Arizona State coach to come out. They couldn't get the BYU coach to leave their job. I mean, it's just very odd, I feel, when we watch this whole thing play out and try and really understand what happened here with Michigan not being able to make some of the splashier hires that they thought they were going to be able to make.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
I know exactly what Patriot Nation is screaming this morning. It's Drake May time. Give him the trophy. MVP. Stop it, please. Just sit down. Yes, Drake May has had a nice season. But let's be real. He has played a JV schedule of defenses. He is carving up the easiest slate of defenses in the NFL this season. Congratulations on your beatdown of the Jets.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Top Spreadlines, people. It is playoff week in college football and also the NFLs. We had in the wild card weekend and then de facto the Final Four for the college football playoffs. Let's get some of the Spreadlines you need to know this week, and it starts Thursday night. It's Miami. It's Ole Miss. It's the Fiesta Bowl. When the Hurricanes opened up, Joe, around a 2.5-point favorite. They're actually moving north of that, 3.5 at just about every outlet and a total of 51.5. Great defense for Miami. The SEC with Ole Miss. They just had a shootout. This will be a fun one to watch, but also off-the-field antics. Who's coaching Ole Miss? Who's not coaching Ole Miss? What is the spread line for this game between Miami and Ole Miss for you, Joe?
Yeah, well, it was interesting, right? The whole scheduling of this game, we touched on it last week, Donnie, is that Miami has an extra day here to prepare, which is absolutely huge because they got to play on New Year's Eve, while, of course, Ole Miss had to play the late game against Georgia on New Year's Day night. So an extra day, a lot of uncertainty, shall we say, on the offensive coaching staff right now and what's going to happen and what's not going to happen. So it doesn't surprise me, Donnie, that we saw Miami originally the look-ahead line -2, -2.5, and it's been, well, Miami money coming in here to push this up to 3.5. But, Donnie, it hasn't necessarily been public money. The public seems to love Ole Miss and the points here. But the line keeps moving towards Miami. So we might have a pros versus Joe situation coming up in this game.
And by the way, Thursday and Friday night, Joe, I see the kickoff time 7:30. Absolutely spectacularly perfect. I remember so many games watching that Monday night championship game kicking off after 9 o'clock. We're finally getting it, people. More people can watch, the better for the ratings, the better the atmosphere for the game. Fantastic stuff for Miami and Ole Miss. Now, let's flip it over to Friday night football. That's Oregon, and it's Indiana. The Peach Bowl here. And Indiana is the favorite. They're up to 4 to 4.5, depending on where you're shopping at right now, and a total of 46.5. Indiana coming off an impressive beatdown, no doubt about it, against Alabama. And then there was Oregon shutting out that machine in Texas Tech. Oregon, Indiana, Joe, give me the spread line for this Friday night football game.
Well, when there is not. That's the amazing part, Donnie, is that this thing has been 3.5. It's still 3.5, and we've had more than enough time to be able to take a look at it. There is an awful lot of money sitting on the sidelines with this game, which is going to be interesting. This is something we have to monitor as we get a little bit closer, right, Biani? Because, listen, we know weather's not going to be a factor. The total hasn't moved. It was 47. Yeah. We're still seeing 47s across the board. So we saw movement in the Miami-Ole Miss game. We haven't seen a lot of money come in one way or the other on this game. And I find that fascinating because the hook is very much available. If you think these two teams are on the same level, Donnie, I'm wondering where the first big move is coming. We'll monitor it all week long.
Let's go to FCS here. Illinois State and Montana State. Take a look at this line, Joe. We're at double digits across the board as a favorite from Montana State in a total of 57.5. Can Illinois State get the cover? Montana State with the win? Championship action? What do we got, Joe? What's that spread line?
Could we have a real-life Cinderella story unfolding here today in the FCS championship? Illinois State was unranked, and they pulled off the biggest upsets of the year. They knocked off number 1 North Dakota State, number 8 UC Davis, number 12. No, they have basically won their way. Nobody knew who this team was or gave them any credit. Meanwhile, Montana State has not lost since week 2. And its only one loss was to a non-Power 4 opponent, South Dakota State, this season. So, I mean, they lost to Oregon, I believe. I think it was early on. But that's it, Donnie. Montana State, this is their 3rd trip to the finals in the last 5 years. Needless to say, this is going to be a 10.5 point line. We're starting to see the Illinois State money come in a little bit. It's pushed it down to 10. I think the Cinderella story is just going to grip here, Donnie. I think there's going to be way more people taking the 10. If you can get it, grab it, because I think by the time this game kicks later, you're not, double digits will not be available. It'll be single digits. So if you can get 10, grab it now.
How about those New York Knicks? Money coming in on them here. Opened up overnight, Joe, at -2. They now sit at 3.5 at just about every outlet across the board, taking on the Detroit Pistons tonight in Detroit at 7 p.m. Eastern, a total of 234.5. Last time I saw the Knicks, they got beat by the Philadelphia 76ers. What gives tonight, Joe? What's that spread line tonight? Knicks, Pistons.
Well, it's not been a good stretch for the Knicks, right? Got a little bit of a losing streak here now. Yep. We know the Knicks are better at home, although they lost, for another game there over the weekend. But The Pistons just played last night on the road as well. They took on the Cleveland Cavaliers, and they bounced back. They won 114-110, but it's going to be the second of a back-to-back with travel here. This line, like you said, though, is starting to see a little bit of Nick Love in the marketplace. I agree with it. It's a tough spot here for the Pistons. That was a pretty physical game yesterday against the Cavs. But the Knicks got to start showing they can win on the road here, Donnie. And now with this, especially against the team that's leading the Eastern Conference, this is a big game here tonight for the Knicks.
I've seen this setup before in college basketball. Nebraska heads on the road to take on Ohio State. Nebraska is undefeated. Nebraska is getting the ticket count. Nebraska opened up as an underdog of -1.5 and now sits at -2.5. Public loves those undefeated teams, Joe, headed to Ohio State. What's that spread line for this game tonight?
This is not going to be an easy game for them in any way, shape, or form because they're coming off a grueling game against Michigan State, Donnie, that they ended up upending Michigan State at home. They're undefeated. They haven't lost a game going back to last year. I mean, Nebraska has been on a roll. But boy, is this a tough spot for them with that win over the weekend. They did win their one true road game at Illinois, but Ohio State is more than capable of upending Nebraska and ending this winning streak. Starting to see a lot of Ohio State money hit the marketplace here this morning.
Love it, too. January means college basketball heads into their conference season, which is the best time here. So January, February, right into March Madness. Fantastic stuff. We'll have you covered. No doubt about it right here on the early line. But it is football season. A lot of football teams have been done with their season. There are some playoff teams moving on. Coaches getting fired. General managers getting fired. And also MVPs now up in the air. Let's get back to the gridiron last night. What happened in Pittsburgh? We'll find out next.
Like Alabama, right? Is there a team that scores more than Alabama? No, right? But they're actually an under team over the last couple of years because their numbers are so high. You get these Americans in Queens College or Denver. Who the hell's betting on them, right? No, but so the lines stay low. They're just like, no one's hopping all over them. But every time you see an Alabama game, you're betting over, but you're losing money because the numbers are so big.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
He's out again. Anthony Davis is injured once again and is going to miss time with the Dallas Mavericks for a minor groin strain. Likely will miss a few games. And I don't even know what a few games is to Anthony Davis because Anthony Davis seems to always be missing time.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
I mean, they couldn't get the Arizona State coach to come out. They couldn't get the BYU coach to leave their job. I mean, it's just very odd, I feel, when we watch this whole thing play out and try and really understand what happened here with Michigan not being able to make some of the splashier hires that they thought they were going to be able to make.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
I know exactly what Patriot Nation is screaming this morning. It's Drake May time. Give him the trophy. MVP. Stop it, please. Just sit down. Yes, Drake May has had a nice season. But let's be real. He has played a JV schedule of defenses. He is carving up the easiest slate of defenses in the NFL this season. Congratulations on your beatdown of the Jets.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
AFC North was up for grabs last night. It's all the Pittsburgh Steelers 26-24 over the Baltimore Ravens. Someone said, I got to blame it on Lamar Jackson. Wasn't his fault. He threw 2 fourth-quarter deep ball touchdowns to Zay Flowers, and the defense couldn't get any stops. Then he brought them right back on the final drive of the game, and a missed field goal by Baltimore sends Pittsburgh into the wild card round with a home game. The Steelers finished the season 10-7. The Ravens 8-9. And maybe some changes on the way here, Joe. Before we get to this game itself, let's hear from Mike Tomlin quickly on the win.
Make that kick, season's over, comes to a screeching halt, and missing that kick and the winner going on.
You know how it is. If my aunt had male parts, she'd be my uncle. All right.
This was by the way, Joe, this is amazing theater to watch it play out, because we'll get to the game in a second. But Mike Tomlin, loses that game, he should be fired, and Aaron Rodgers doesn't come back. A missed kick of 44 yards, whatever it was, brings Aaron Rodgers back and Mike Tomlin back next year, regardless of what they do in the playoffs. We'll see if they get a win round number 1. They're actually underdogs again at home, but the Pittsburgh Steelers, that Tomlin, mojo sometimes carries them away in their perfect spots when they're underdogs, and they were last night.
It's the first time in, I think, 5 years they've actually won the AFC North, too, which is kind of crazy. And, don't forget they played the Ravens in that first round last year and got absolutely demolished. So a little bit of a payback situation here for Pittsburgh. But I can imagine, Donnie, that the happiest guy in that building probably wasn't in the building. DK Metcalf just got a new lease on life here, Donnie, because now they get their number 1 receiver, the biggest target. You saw what happened with the number 2 receiver back in the lineup with Austin yesterday. Now you can bring back DK Metcalf, and all of a sudden, just like that, one huge game and a playoff win that they haven't had in how long in Pittsburgh? And they will forget all about DK Metcalf being suspended for the last 2 games of the regular season.
I mean, Lamar threw 18 times and still wound up with 238 yards, only 11 completions, throwing daggers down the field. They should have won that game, but they didn't win the football game, and it's their fault here, which then begs the question, is John Harbaugh going to be moved out of the Ravens, front office / head coach / de facto GM? He's been there damn near 20 years. I don't know if he will, but fans always like change, and it feels like the end of a run with Lamar Jackson. So we'll probably know within the next day or two, Joe.
This cracks me up, Donnie. It's of all the organizations to sit there and say, oh, no, these guys are gone. They don't win. They haven't changed in 20 years. These aren't organizations that just oh, no, it's no, it's not. And my question is, who are you going to get? Mike McCarthy? Who are you getting rid of Harbaugh and Tomlin for? The answer is nobody. They're not going anywhere. Tomlin certainly isn't going anywhere unless they want to go somewhere, Donnie. That's a different story. But these organizations aren't organizations that predetermine this. Absolutely not. It'll be when you're there that long, usually when a coach steps down or leaves, everybody's on the same page here, Donnie, and we haven't heard anything like that yet.
By the way, we had bully ball played on Saturday night. The divide of do you get the first overall seed in the NFC or do you head to the wild card round was decided. Seattle went on the road and played bully ball against the San Francisco 49ers in a 13-3 victory, which now is the San Francisco 49ers headed to the city of brotherly love to take on the Eagles and the Seahawks. Sipping pina coladas this week as that number 1 overall seed.
And those two will likely face one another again before it's all said and done. Yep, that's it. I'm telling you. And listen, Sam Darnold did just enough not to lose the game. They need to keep running the ball like they did in that game. If they can, Donnie, Seattle should be the favorite to win it all.
It's again, it still comes down to Darnold, hey, back-to-back 13-win seasons, number 1 seed in the way they go. But in the biggest moments, it's do we want to throw the football or not? And you're always going to have that hanging over your head. Hey, it's up to Seattle to prove everybody wrong. They are the 1 seed. They should be able to do that. Tampa Bay on Saturday night, 16-14 winner. They didn't get to celebrate because they had to wait till Sunday to see what happened between another NFC South football game. Hey, congratulations, Tampa. 24 hours. It was great because it ended. Carolina lost and then still got the playoffs.
Yeah, well, I'm happy as well because I laid the 2.5 with Tampa, and not only did I watch them get their field goal attempt blocked, but then give up a useless touchdown there in the end. So, yeah, I'm glad Tampa is off to the postseason. They deserve it, or rather off season because they deserve it.
And by the way, the other game, that Falcons 19-17 win over the Saints, like there were two easy covers that you had, and you said, wait, what happened in the final moments of that game? Backdoor covers. That's exactly what happened. More NFL talk next. Armchair Quarterback Monday, right here on the Early Line on the SportsGrid Network.
Crosby has now left the team, by the way. He's pissed. Anyway, look at he's angry. He wants to play just like what they're doing here. There's all sort of speculation.
This might be the final straw, George, for him there. Like, I don't know why he stays. Yeah, I know. The thing is, he's got a Raider freaking tattoo. Like, the guy loves the Raiders. Like, he really does love playing for the Raiders. But and now, like you said, he's not happy about this.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Sometimes those coaches do get the axe, regardless of what the owner said just a few short weeks ago. And sometimes, Joe, you can't have it both ways. Like a Jets fan, you probably want them to tank. They're doing a really good job of that by not even being competitive at this point. But at the same time, you sort of want it to be, we're not competitive winning games, but it looks like we have a future. We might have found our quarterback. We got a good foundation. Nothing is going right.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
It's going to open up Pandora's box. But I will say this. I do believe players that sign now, like Najee, should not be eligible now, but should have to sit out and come back in next year. It's just a slippery slope. And I agree with people like Tom Izzo. I don't like it at all.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
LeBron James gets that news today. What is today?
Today's his birthday.
Oh, I'm sorry? The greatest birthday gift that LeBron James has ever gotten is the reality, the smack in the face that he's no longer an all-star.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
That wild NFC South. Now we get to the NFC playoff picture, Joe, and it is set here. Wild card weekend will be the Packers at the Bears, the 49ers at the Eagles, and the Rams at the Panthers. We did have some interesting doings, which we'll get to in just a few segments here, of how these games actually played out. With the Bears backed into the number 2 seed, the Eagles played their backups, had a lead in that football game, but weren't able to close the deal. And then the Rams, who tried their damnedest to say, we are not heading to Philadelphia. We definitely want to play the Panthers. And they hit the gas pedal late in that football game back behind Matthew Stafford to wind up there. Bye for the Seattle Seahawks, Joe. The NFC playoff picture. It's all set.
Yeah, it is. And again, fortunate for the Bears, who couldn't get it done yesterday against Detroit. What an ugly first half that was, too. I mean, they were down 13-0 at home. They couldn't even score. And they played everybody. They started everybody there, Chicago, because they wanted to win that game and then eventually came up short. But the good thing is the Eagles didn't play anybody. So we already knew Green Bay was locked into the 7 seed. So it was just a matter of, could the Eagles get that 2 seed? And boy, what a difference that would have made, because that would have put the 49ers back against Chicago. And we just saw that a couple of weeks ago.
How about this one in the AFC? Houston was still playing for some seeding here, but it was probably a formality. The teams ahead of them had real layup games and both easily dispatched of their opponents. But the Houston Texans did win 38-30, rested Nico Collins for next week so he didn't get hurt, and still came away with the victory. But by the way, Riley Leonard against a pretty good defense, 21 of 34, 270, 2 touchdown passes, a QBR rating of 83.8. and added a touchdown on the ground. The Texans move on to play the Pittsburgh Steelers the next year, though. Questions about who's coming back for the Indianapolis Colts, but apparently head coach and GM, they'll be back in Indy.
Yeah, and listen, I mean, there was a lot of talk about Chris Ballard. He's got to go because what have they done under his watch? I mean, besides basically at this point put all their eggs into the Danny Dimes basket, and you mortgaged your future by making all those trades this year. So I guess they're all willing to give him one more year here, but I do think Steichen and Ballard are tied together. So if it doesn't go well this upcoming year, there will be change in Indy.
Yeah, you can't fire the ownership group there. The Ursays have been there for a long time, and now we get to hear the daughter talk about why she's keeping the general manager and the head coach here. Should be some fun times in Indy. I do think Steichen is a good head coach, but if you don't have a quarterback, you can't win football games. Maybe Riley Leonard is their guy, but it just seems like they are on that carousel of quarterbacks every year looking for a new guy, and that's not going to help you in continuity here. Let's get over to the college football ranks here because we are set on the college football playoffs final 4 teams. Miami's going to take on Ole Miss. Oregon is going to take on Indiana. Preview for Thursday, preview Friday, games Thursday, games Friday. There it is, Joe. The college football playoff bracket, the final 4. Not a lot of people expected.
No, I mean, in that game alone, Donnie, the Fiesta Bowl, there were a lot of people who had Georgia and Ohio State penciled in there, and, well, that didn't happen. And it's good for college football to get some new blood in here. It's unfortunate. It's not exactly a level playing field for Ole Miss right now, which is unfortunate, but Miami, listen, you still got to get it done, right? Everyone keeps waiting for the wheels to fall off Mario Cristobal. They might have to wait another couple of weeks here, Donnie, before that happens.
Taking a look here at the favorites to win the national championship. It is Indiana at a plus 130 price, followed by Oregon plus 310, Miami at plus 330, and Ole Miss at plus 570, Joe. Any takers? Like, if we had to look at overall, honestly, it seems to me Indiana probably is the best team. But again, you still have to win 2 football games to get a plus 130 price. If there is a ticket out there, Joe, for a favorite that you want to take here in the championship, who's that ticket going to be?
Oh, I think it'll be Miami. I think it's going to be Miami and Indiana all together because I think those are the 2 most physical and physically imposing teams left in the trenches. And I think that matters this time of year, Donnie. And I think that you're going to see that in these games. And as good as Oregon has looked and as good as they just showed us that they can be, I think Indiana, they bullied them the first game. I think they're going to bully them the second game.
Miami and Ole Miss. That's going to be Thursday night at 7:30 p.m. No more Thursday night football in the NFL. This game will take center stage and will be enjoyable for all to watch. It just kind of stinks that it's out at the Fiesta Bowl, 2 fan bases, and got to travel thousands of miles, maybe a little bit more of a sterile environment, but that's what college football gives us, Joe. But Miami is the favorite at minus 3.5. Also, you take a look at that total, 51.5. I like the over in that SEC playoff game between, obviously, Ole Miss and Georgia. They end up having a wild fourth quarter going over the number. We've talked about the side. Miami should be the favorite in this game, but that total itself, Joe, 51.5. I know Miami's MO is we're going to play really great defense, but I think Ole Miss is going to force that issue, and Miami will be able to respond on offense. I think we open this one up, Joe. I'm liking the total early in the week as that line now sits at 52.5 at some outlets now.
Yeah, and I agree with you here. I mean, listen, Chambliss is playing at a ridiculous level. He's also got a set of skills here that you didn't see a lot in the ACC, and Miami hasn't exactly faced here. Miami's been doing it with defense. The offense has been complementing the defense. They have to protect Chambliss. Otherwise, this game could get out of hand quickly. So that, to me, is the big question. With all the uncertainty on the offensive coaching staff here, and one less day to prepare, what are you going to do against the best defense in the country? That's what I can't wait to see.
Oregon, Joe, was in Miami in the Orange Bowl. Oregon then went back to Oregon. Oregon then has to fly back to the Peach Bowl in Atlanta to take on Indiana. This line, Joe, opened up at 3.5. Now we see the 4.5s and 4s in the marketplace in a total of 46.5. These 2 teams, sometimes you get like momentum coming off a game, right, for each one of these teams. Well, I mean, Oregon pitched a shutout against Texas Tech. That's impressive. Indiana absolutely mauled Alabama in the Rose Bowl. So you don't get that feel-good story from both sides. Oh, I don't think that team played well. Both of these teams played exceptionally well. But I just think Indiana right now is that hot team. But the question is, Indiana can still win that game and not cover. It could be close. We're looking at that 4 to 4.5 across the board, Joe. How you feel about the favorite being Indiana over a field goal? And also, does Oregon have a legitimate chance to pull that upset?
I think it's fascinating because we know Indiana has become that public darling of sorts in the betting market. And the fact that this thing has not been pushed up higher to 4 or 4.5, the fact that we are locked in at 3.5, I find fascinating. I do believe that there is going to be Indiana money coming at some point this week, and they should be the favorite, honey, without a doubt. But we both know it's kind of hard to beat a team twice in a season here. We just watched Ole Miss avenge their loss to Georgia. Could we see Oregon beat Indiana? It wouldn't. I don't think it's the biggest upset in the world, but it would be an upset.
Both of these teams playing good defense as well, Joe. And the one thing that we don't have to worry about, this will be a fast track. What we worried a little bit about in that Indiana game, like, oh, man, raining all weekend, soggy field, didn't hurt Indiana one bit. Now you're in a dome here. This should be an interesting one because that total, Joe, opened up at 46.5, still sits at 46.5. Are we expecting more of a 50-plus point game, or both of these teams feeling it out? I think aggression paves the way. And just like I talked about Miami Ole Miss, Joe, this is a good chance we get over that 46.5.
We could, absolutely, but you're going to need some things to go well here. I mean, don't forget, it wasn't like, 30-20 was a bit misleading there. There were special teams gaffes and those types of things because Dante Moore in that offense of Oregon, they were held to, I believe, less than 3 yards a carry rushing the ball. Yeah. He didn't have a great time throwing the ball. So defense could win out here. This could be the bigger defensive battle than the Miami game.
It's, again, these two really good football games laid out. You're going to have them not even side by side. Oh, you got to stack up 4 hours of football one night, one game Thursday, one game Friday. Then we move on to the national championship game. And boy, would it be something like, you talk about like Miami taking on Indiana, or even like Ole Miss, Oregon, like a game that you probably didn't expect to happen is going to happen here. And that's fantastic stuff. Tom Vecchio is going to join us next. What happened yesterday? And also look ahead here to playoff week in the NFL. That's how we do it right on the early line. We'll be
Crosby has now left the team, by the way. He's pissed. Anyway, look at he's angry. He wants to play. Doesn't like what they're doing here. There's all sort of speculation.
This might be the final straw, George, for him there. Like, I don't know why he stays. Yeah, I know. The thing is, he's got a Raider freaking tattoo. Like, the guy loves the Raiders. Like, he really does love playing for the Raiders. But and now, like you said, he's not happy about this.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Sometimes those coaches do get the axe regardless of what the owner said just a few short weeks ago. And sometimes, Joe, you can't have it both ways. Like a Jets fan, you probably want them to tank. They're doing a really good job of that by not even being competitive at this point. But at the same time, you sort of want it to be, we're not competitive winning games, but it looks like we have a future. We might have found our quarterback. We got a good foundation. Nothing is going right.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
It's going to open up Pandora's box. But I will say this. I do believe players that sign now, like Najee, should not be eligible now, but should have to sit out and come back in next year. It's just a slippery slope. And I agree with people like Tom Izzo. I don't like it at all.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
LeBron James gets that news today. What is today?
Today's his birthday.
Oh, I'm sorry? The greatest birthday gift that LeBron James has ever gotten is the reality, the smack in the face that he's no longer an all-star.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
the field is set. What a wild day it was yesterday, and also a wild day on Saturday. Teams backing into the playoffs, teams saying, you know what, let's get that bye week and ride off into the sunset, or at least they think so. And also kicking field goals at the end of games with young kickers that aren't used to that high-pressure situation. We saw it all yesterday. It's Donnie right side, it's Joe Ranieri. Now we bring in Tom Vecchio. Tom, crazy day yesterday. A lot of things have changed, which includes the MVP race.
It certainly has. A crazy way to finish the season last night. Brady and I were live for that game. It was looking like a dead under the entire time. I had the Steelers, I had the under, some player props. So it turned out to be a good game because the Steelers, ended up winning outright. But crazy fourth quarter with 4 touchdowns. The line's already out for the playoff games. Really interesting. We've already seen some line movement in some of these games, and I think it's going to continue to go the way these lines have already moved.
I love it, too, because now you're in the playoffs. Now everything is set in stone. No more, contrived. I think this team, you're going to play this out on the football field and not. But, Tom, watching that game last night, 10-0 lead for Baltimore. Lamar Jackson has 11 completions, but every one is for, 50 yards. Multiple 50-plus yard touchdowns. They couldn't get a stop on defense, which has been their MO. But did you agree? Because for me watching it live, I understand that, yes, the kid's been good inside of 50 yards. But one more handoff with a couple timeouts, you could have got 2 or 3 more. It's closer to make it a little bit easier. I just felt when I saw that knee in the back of my mind, I'm like, this kid in the most high leverage situation he's ever going to have, and he missed it. I wasn't surprised. Were you?
No, ultimately, it would be different, like you said, if they pushed forward for 2 or 3 yards and it was in a dome and it was that outdoors at Acrisure Stadium, was at Heinz Field, and is one of the toughest places to kick when it's all said and done. So that's a coaching thing. I understand that he may want it on the left or the right side for the hash marks, setting up. That's fun, but you can still push forward to try and get that.
Yeah, well, and you just watch Boswell missed an extra point, too. I mean, if he can't, if he's having trouble with it, goodness. So, yeah, unfortunately, but that, Pittsburgh moves on. Congratulations. You and I talked also, Tom, yesterday on In Game Live, and I said, well, it's going to be interesting because the Rams are playing everybody because they apparently want that 5 seed. Why? Because by the time they kicked off, we knew Carolina was the 4th seed. And I said to you, we looked at the first game, about a month ago, and you said that spread was around 10, right? Double digits. And I asked you, what exactly do you think that line will be for the second go around? And here it is, 9.5, 10, exactly the way you thought it was going to be.
Right. And, I saw it move last night. Obviously Brady and I were checking in on the lines, between quarters, halftime, when we had some time. When it was 10.5, we actually moved down to 10 at one point. I see it back up at 10.5 at least on FanDuel, but it is juice to the Carolina side. Again, I wouldn't be surprised to see it move again to 10, maybe even 9.5. There's no doubt the Rams are the better team. That's so clear. We all know the Panthers back themselves into the playoffs. No one's doubting any of this. But to lay 10.5 is a big number at any point, especially in the playoffs. This would mean the Rams would be, close to 14.5-point favorites if they were to be at home, just for how much respect that they get in the industry. And I know home field's not 4 points, but I just think it's a bit much. I'm not saying that the Rams can't win by 10, but I like the over ultimately in that game. I think the Rams can get into the upper 20s. Maybe the Panthers get to 17 or so. I think that we're going to be in the points more importantly.
Yeah, you got to bring Carolina out of that shell. You score early against Carolina, force that game to open up. It does make some sense. But also the 10 is kind of interesting. The Rams won by 24 early in the season against Carolina. Oh, really? Look at that. Carolina actually beat the Rams already this season. Should be some fun to watch. Tom, there's an interesting angle that I love to play each and every year at this time, because I do think rest is the ultimate indicator of a team that should be able to handle it, and also how healthy they are coming in. Rams and Carolina, both of those teams had to play last week, so no real advantage there. Green Bay and Chicago. Green Bay sat everybody. Chicago had to go right down to the wire and still lost in a hard-fought game against a division rival. Buffalo and Jacksonville. Jacksonville played their starters. Buffalo rested their starters. San Francisco played their starters. Philadelphia rested their starters. The Chargers rested their starters. New England played their starters. And then Houston and Pittsburgh basically call that even. They both played their starters. Do you play any angles like that coming up this week? Or how do you feel about a rest advantage versus a team that didn't rest the week previous?
I would say be more based on the type of rest and the momentum. Is it earned rest, or are they just doing it because they fell into that position? For me, the Packers, they have not looked good as of late, and they just chose to rest everyone. So it's not like they were on fire, blazing, and then it's like, you know what? We earned this rest. It's like, no, it's like we're actually not healthy. We're just taking this rest because we're locked into our spot. I will say it is important to note just how the lines have moved already in that Packers game. The Packers were getting 1.5 points. Now they're laying 1.5 points. And, last night on IGL, we had Mark Zinnewan, and he just made a very, very simple and easy point. It's like, listen, the Bears are the 2 seed, and they're locked in. It's like, how are they laying 1.5 points? How is this game a pick 'em on the money line? That should tell you enough about what the market views of the Bears, that they're just not this good team. They're not a team that you should be worried about. Their defense is terrible. They can put up some points, but the Packers are the better team. If this game were to be flipped and were to be in Lambeau, the Packers would be heavy favorites. They'd be over 3.5 in a playoff game. The Bears can't be a good team and only laying or getting 1.5 points as a home favorite.
All right, so forget Green Bay, Chicago, and Buffalo and Jacksonville. No pressure here, Tom. Give me the money line outright dog winner this week.
It would be the Chargers. Wow. Herbert's been terrible in the playoffs. Like, we all know this. But the Chargers do have playoff experience. They lost to the Jags, what was it, 3 years ago? They blew that 21-point lead, 24-point lead, whatever it was. Herbert looked terrible last year, threw 3-4 picks against Houston, but he has playoff experience. Whether it's been good or not is irrelevant. He at least has it. Drake May does not. So if you were to buy into coaching with Harbaugh that he has, with Herbert, with some type of veteran presence on the offense, with Keenan Allen, Ladd McConkey's been to the playoffs, I would buy into that if I had to. I do like the 3.5 for the Chargers. I think the Pats are a good team. I don't know if they're good enough to win going away.
Tom, we love to talk props here. I'm not going to hold your feet to the fire here, but is there a player or two that you might be looking forward to this weekend saying, you know what, might be a pretty good prop shot here?
I might just continue to lean on Hunter Henry on the other side of that game I just talked about. He's been a super solid option for the Pats this year, really all throughout the season.
And how about this, Tom? Drake May, he was the MVP favorite. Drake May, no longer the MVP favorite. They'll vote on that soon. Come on, Vrabel. Show up for your own guys here. Thanks, Tom. And talk to you soon. We'll be right back.
LeBron James gets that news today. What is today?
Today's his birthday.
Oh, I'm sorry? The greatest birthday gift that LeBron James has ever gotten is the reality, the smack in the face that he's no longer an all-star.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
Like Alabama, right? Is there a team that scores more than Alabama? No, right? But they're actually an under team over the last couple of years because their numbers are so high. You get these Americans in Queens College or Denver. Who the hell's betting on them, right? Nobody. So the lines stay low. They're just like, no one's hopping all over them. But every time you see an Alabama game, you're betting over, but you're losing money because the numbers are so big.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Sometimes those coaches do get the axe regardless of what the owner said just a few short weeks ago. Now, sometimes, Joe, you can't have it both ways. Like a Jets fan, you probably want them to tank. They're doing a really good job of that by not even being competitive at this point. But at the same time, you sort of want it to be, yeah, we're not competitive winning games, but it looks like we have a future. We might have found our quarterback. We got a good foundation. Nothing is going right.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
He's out again. Anthony Davis is injured once again and is going to miss time with the Dallas Mavericks for a minor groin strain. Likely will miss a few games. And I don't even know what a few games is to Anthony Davis because Anthony Davis seems to always be missing time.
Pro Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
On this very show, The Early Line, in May, it was about 8:30, 8:40 in the morning, I want to say, and I was actually hosting a show with Mark Zinno. And all of a sudden, we saw a tweet from Jordan Renan, I believe a New York Giants beat writer, that goes, hey, by the way, ESPN Bet, which is no longer available, has the Giants team win total at 3.5. I said, wait, 3.5? I know their schedule is tough, but they had a coach in Brian Dable trying to hold on. You had a veteran quarterback in Russell Wilson that was trying to make a name for himself again in the NFL and be a starter. I said, that's way too low. So we started hitting that number and retweeting that number out that morning. Joe, do you know it ended at 5.5 within a matter of hours, pushing that from 3.5 to 4.5 to 5.5? And I said, boy, I got one of the greatest tickets I'm ever going to have. Only to watch the Giants season where every game it felt like they had a double-digit lead in the second half and couldn't get a victory. I'm going to end up one win short of this. This is crazy because there's no way the Giants are going to beat the Cowboys to have 2 games won in the final 2 games of the season to ruin their draft position. 34-17. Not the Cowboys. 34-17, New York Giants, and I loved it. It's like finding money in your couch cushions. The Giants, with their 4th win, ruined their draft position. I don't know what they were trying to do, but credit them for playing hard. Maybe they knew I had a ticket on them, Joe.
Well, auditioning is what they were doing, Donnie. That's kind of what it looks like. I mean, don't forget, I don't know if they're even remotely close to figuring out who the next head coach is going to be here because none of the names excite you. But, Kafka, listen, it was an audition for him. That's exactly what it was. And if Jackson Dart has any relationship with him and can produce some of the numbers, maybe he's at the top of the list. So I think it'll be interesting. I wouldn't have expected anything. I would have expected a big effort. I thought Dallas would have wanted to end on a high note, but that went out the window. Giants ruined their position, and so did the Browns for that matter as well, dropping out of the top 3.
And also from this, the Giants have their quarterback, doesn't matter. Yes, it does. Like if you tank the way you were supposed to here, you have a lot of good core coming back. The number 1 overall pick, which you wouldn't use for a quarterback, and you would trade for a king's ransom. They messed that up. But I do think the Giants have some pieces in the future. You just got to find the right head coach. And if it's McCarthy, that's ridiculous. If it's a defensive coordinator, that's even more stupid at this point. You got to hit the head coach here. We'll find it. And again, the GM's going to stay. He's a terrible GM. So what confidence do you have in him picking the right coach? Not too much here. How about the Cleveland Browns? Came into the game yesterday with 4 wins going up against the Bengals. They came away with a 20-18 victory and the sack record for Myles Garrett. Shedeur Sanders, 111 yards, took 6 sacks, didn't matter. Still won the game. Joe Burrow still threw for 3 touchdowns, but you can't give away 2 touchdowns to defenders here and expect to win a game. Cleveland comes away with the victory on a late field goal, 20-18.
Yeah, well, listen, I mean, they didn't tank, so purposely anyway. And we kind of figured the Browns in that game were all going to be about coaching and playing to get Myles Garrett the record. And he did. There wasn't anything cheesy about it. I don't want to hear about, 18 games. Like, absolutely not. I mean, when you got the guy is an absolute wrecking ball and deserves the record. And Donnie, he'll likely break his own record within the next year or 2 anyway. But the Browns, where are they going? And how is Zach Taylor still a head coach with the Cincinnati Bengals? I mean, here we are, Black Monday, Donnie, coming up on 8 a.m. East Coast time. What are we doing here? Like, somebody fire all of these guys. Get rid of them all, and let's restart this thing, please.
It's pretty crazy. Like, the Bengals had a lot of hope and aspirations here. They just don't have a defense. I thought Al Gold was going to make the difference, and it wasn't. The defense wasn't the issue yesterday. Shedeur Sanders didn't have to do anything because you kept turning it over on offense for touchdowns the other way. But that is amazing. Like, it's hard enough to get a sack. Like, if you look at the NFL, like, hey, I'm going to go in the free agency. I got 7 sacks last year. You're a primo target. A guy like Myles Garrett getting close to 25 sacks in a season. Crazy. And also understand this. His team coming into yesterday was 4-12. That means every fourth quarter, you barely have a chance to rush the passer because the other team is actually just running the clock out on you at this point. So the fact that he did it on a losing team is absolutely sensational here to watch it play out. We'll see what they do next year. And I don't have high hopes for Cleveland the way it is, but you're right about Cincinnati. What do they do coming into the season next year? You got your quarterback. You got your running back. You got your wide receivers. You have to build a defense yesterday. But another thing, too, Chase Brown never had a 1,000-yard season, 13 carries for 72 yards. He cracks the 1,000 marker in the first half. So at least they got that, I guess?
Yeah, I guess. Now, I mean, granted, by the way, a lot of his lack of success is tied into the injuries with Joe Burrow. but you don't have an offensive line. You can't protect them. It happens year after year. I mean, my goodness, you got 3 of the best offensive players in the league, and you can't even make the postseason. It's head-scratching.
Nope, 8 catches for 96 yards for Jamar Chase and a touchdown. T. Higgins, 6 for 67 and a touchdown. Basically, paint by numbers if you really wanted some prop bets for the Bengals yesterday. This didn't work out in their favor with the win. Hour number 2 is up next.